Choir Sundays because I know how much work they do to create the music that we so enjoy each time they sing. So thank you. So good morning. Good morning. So I have a question. Have you ever seen someone walking around the world with a water bottle and they have a word written on it? Yeah? So here's my water bottle this morning. It has the word freedom written on it. So if you're new to this teaching or you don't know about the law of attraction and things like that, you might wonder what this is about. But this is actually based on a study that I want to talk a little bit about this morning. There was a scientist in Japan, and his name is Dr. Masaru Emoto, E-M-O-T-O. If you're not familiar with his work or you're interested in what I talk about this morning, you can actually go online and see Emoto's work. It's fascinating. It's absolutely fascinating. So what Dr. Emoto did was he studied water. He studied the quality of water. He wondered originally if water looked the same in quality from wherever it came from. So did water from the Antarctic look the same as water in Tahiti or in Japan is what he was very interested in. And so what he would do is he would go to these sources of pure water that was untouched, and he would freeze the water. So in all of his studies, he froze the water and looked at it under the microscope and examined the crystals that were formed by the freezing of the water. Now what he learned was that although the water from different parts of the world made different looking crystals, the water that was from pure, pristine sources all had crystals that were orderly and symmetric, just beautiful, beautiful crystals, like a traditional snowflake. It's what they kind of look like. But when he began to study water that had been touched by human beings, he studied polluted water or water from rivers that ran through cities that were really being impacted by the human beings around. He would freeze that water and study it. And those crystals, while they still had crystals, were very disorderly. They were not harmonious. They weren't symmetric. And actually, some of them were ugly and not formed at all. And so he would document all of this, and then he found out that if he had people pray over the water that was polluted and kind of damaged in the crystals, and it didn't matter what kind of prayer, didn't matter who was praying or what kind of prayer, but they could change the crystals of that tainted water and put them back in divine order, into symmetry and harmony and beauty, just by praying over it. So then he's decided he would study the impact of music on water. So that's fascinating, to go online and look at the pictures of the crystals from like John Lennon's Imagine or folk music or heavy metal music. So, and what he learned that is any positive, uplifting, like melodic music, and it really didn't matter what kind of music like that, it would make beautiful crystals. And the disharmonic or harsh music would create the disordered, misshapen crystals as well. So then he went to just words and phrases. So what he would do is he would take a vial of water, much like a water bottle, and he would tape a phrase or a word to the bottle and have his grad students, those blessed grad students that'll do whatever you pay them to do, and he would have them read out loud the phrase on the water bottle to the water, or just think that phrase towards that water, and he would study the crystals. And you can see Adolf Hitler, you can see Mother Teresa, you can see thank you, I love you, or I hate you, or whatever. And what he found was that positive, uplifting, positive energy made beautiful crystals, and negative words made very ugly and disharmonious crystals. So I invite you to go look at that. So what we do in Beyond Limits class is we get into a discussion after that, like, what does that mean to us? What does that mean? Well, you know from having basic biology that we are a high percentage of water. Our bodies are water. I looked it up, and a newborn infant is 78% water, and we as adults are between 50 and 65% water, right? And all of life comes from water. All of life is supported by water. The one element that we can't live without is water, right? So how impactful Emoto's work is, especially to our philosophy and new thought. So we begin to understand the power of our word. And so after learning about Emoto's work, I became very vigilant about the words spoken in my home. And as a protective mother, I became very vigilant about my daughter. And some of you may know that my daughter has physical challenges. And so when she was growing up learning to talk about what she could or could not do in her body, I insisted that she use the most positive and uplifting, empowering words that she possibly could to describe herself. And I insisted on that from her teachers and from people who were speaking words over her life. And so I know as a mom, I'm probably more protective of her than anybody else. But may we speak powerful words over our lives, right? But of course, this is a very, very, very old message. Ernest Holmes, who founded our philosophy, wrote this little red book called The Hidden Meaning of the Bible. And here's what he wrote. He said, "Since God is pure intelligence and an endless being, it is always creating something. The Word of God, spoken within itself, sets the law, which is also within itself, in motion. It sets the law in motion, and the result is creation. The Word is the mold, which acting through the law produces form. And as there are many words, so there are many forms, each distinct and each an individualized idea of God." And we know from being around this teaching that we are individualized ideas in the mind of God, each one of us. And we reproduce the divine nature on the level of the individual life. So since God's words and thoughts are creative, so are our words and ideas creative. Because it's true, as above, so below. And this is the great lesson that the Bible teaches us. In so many Bible stories, it is illustrated what happens when your thoughts or your words are positive and constructive, and what happens when your word or your actions are destructive. It's just the great lesson. And Dr. Emoto was simply illustrating that same lesson kind of in a scientific way. Is be careful with your word. And I know that each of us have been taught the power of our words our whole lives. Let's see if you can finish this sentence that my mother said a bajillion times. If you can't say something nice, don't say anything at all. Your moms would be so proud of you. And I don't know about you, but I still have opportunities with that one on my journey. But this theme of the power of our word shows up in fairy tales. It shows up in mythology. It shows up in current movies and stories, especially, pay attention, especially of things that are geared towards children. We're trying to teach the power that we have of our thoughts and our words. Be careful what you say. Be careful what you wish for. Be careful how you treat other people or what you say about other people. All of these messages are just reminders that we are powerfully creative. This month, our theme is creativity. And creation is one of our God-given abilities. It's important that we understand this ability and we harness this ability to the benefit of our lives. So your word, your thoughts, your choices, your actions actually create the circumstances and situations you find yourself in. It's just such a foundational concept of this teaching. But you might wonder, how do I harness it? How do I figure it out? How do I actually work with it? So I want to get into some practicality. So I want to give you a tool that I use with my clients. It's a method that helps people apply this concept that your words are powerful. So I want you to consider for a moment. If you had to describe your life right now with 3 big words, what would those three big words be? Would they be hectic, overwhelming, maybe boring? It might be fun or loving or joyful. But what would those three words be if you had to describe your life right now? So then I ask my clients, okay, what would the three big words be if you described your ideal life? If we're only talking about like a part of their life or their career or their relationship, what would the three big words be that would describe your ideal career or your ideal relationship? And sometimes when I ask this question, the words just come tumbling out. They've got it fast. But most of the time, they need to take this home and really think about it. So it's like homework. I need to think. So if I asked you right now, what would your three big words be to describe your ideal life? Could you jot them down quickly? Have you thought about this? Most of the time, no. But sometimes when you're thinking of the ideal life, you often would name God qualities. So my ideal life would be peace, joy, harmony, love, connection, balance. I like the word balance right now. And if you don't watch yourself, you'll make a long list. But what I know is that if the list is too long, then it's vague and you just kind of lose it. So let's zero in on three big words. So let me share my own example. I was asked this question many, many years ago. And when I finally boiled it down, and I worked on this I diligently, like, okay, three big words. And I wanted broad words that would kind of cover several things and concepts. I wanted the perfect three words. And I came up with these three words: freedom, fulfillment, and abundance. I weighed it all out. And I wrote those three words down on a little sticky note. And it was so long ago, there's no sticky on the note anymore. It's just a piece of paper now. But it used to stick. But I still have that little piece of paper. Years ago, I wrote it. And all these years later, I still claim those three words for my life. I affirm that in every circumstance I find myself in, those three words are available to me. Not some of the time, but all the time. So once you have your three words, you've got to define them. Now, you can look up in Webster or Google or whatever and find out what the definition of your three words are, but I don't really care what Webster says. This is between you and Spirit, so it really is your definition. Okay? So, for example, my definition of freedom means that in whatever situation I find myself in, I have the freedom to shift perspective. I have the freedom to change what I'm doing. I have the freedom to make a new choice within the bigger situation. So there's freedom. Fulfillment to me means that I have a personal connection with whatever it is I'm doing. It's fulfilling to me. I have a sense of my spirit showing up in the situation. I feel connected. I feel satisfied with what's going on around me. Fulfillment. And abundance means that no matter what is required, it is there for me. There's enough of whatever it is that I need. So if it's resources or support or time, there's an abundance of whatever it is that I need. And again, Webster might not like my definitions, but Spirit understands them, trust me. So, for me, these three words are present in whatever it is I create. So in my career or my relationship or my health or my friendships or whatever, these three words are available to me. And these three words help me make decisions. So if an opportunity or a situation comes by and I'm trying to figure out if it's for me, what I'm trying to do is ask enough questions to find out, are freedom, fulfillment, and abundance somewhere in there for me? And if they're not, then I know it's not for me. And here's another one. If I'm in a situation and one of those dries up or disappears, all of a sudden I don't have freedom, or I don't have fulfillment, or I don't have abundance, that's Spirit nudging me, saying it's time to move on, it's time to choose again. So it really gives me clarity on creating my life. Now, at the time that I figured out my 3 words, I had to claim them on faith, because there was not a whole lot around me at that time in my life that looked like freedom, fulfillment, and abundance. But as I anchored in my creative power, I began to see things shift. So, for example, in my job, I was moved into a position that, oh yeah, it had a bigger paycheck, but it had more fulfilling components to it, and I had more freedom of choice in that new position. And when I met Becky, my love, we were thrilled that we were similarly abundant, yes, but we were connected with our spiritual connection. We had a fulfilling part of our relationship, and we gave each other the freedom, and we still do give each other the freedom to move about in our lives and do what we need to do. So in that regard, my 3 words show up as well. And these words just keep manifesting in my life over and over again. So pick your 3 words carefully. And once you have them picked, there's some steps I want you to take. I definitely want you to define them and write them on a sticky note. Somehow make them visible to you. And to keep them anchored in your awareness, I invite you to pick a symbol that represents the word. So for me, freedom is represented by birds. So whenever I see like a flock of birds take off and just poof, they go that direction, I say, thank you, God, for this symbol of my freedom. A bird shows up. I'm like, where's my freedom today? It's a symbol. It anchors it in for me. Here's another step. Look around your life as it is right now and find how your word already shows up. You already have an idea of your ideal life, and you're hungry for more of it, so you've had a taste of it. So figure out where you have it now and anchor in that gratitude. Thank you for this experience of my word. And here's another one. Release your attachment to any situation or relationship or circumstance that does not support your 3 words. Let them go. You don't have to push them out. You release attachment to it, and they will shed with ease. It's how it works. And watch for new ideas. You'll get new ideas or opportunities that will come up for you that might be able to be a bigger experience for your 3 words. And write them on your bottle. And watch the crystals of your life begin to form into a match for the words that you claim in your life. So as I said, our monthly theme is creativity. And this little book is our book of the month. It's called Creative Mind and Success. It's little. See how little it is? Ernest Holmes wrote a little book. It's awesome. He's a prolific writer. This is probably one of the most approachable writings that he has. I highly encourage, I'm sure the bookstore has them. Creative Mind and Success. I'm going to do some quotes out of this because he teaches in this book the power of your word and how to anchor it in to have a successful life. So I'm plugging that book because it's a good one. So on page 15, this is what he writes. We must think only what we wish to experience. And he goes on to say, each person is living in a world of his own making, and he should speak only such words and think only such thoughts as he wishes to see manifested in his life. The man who can control his thought can have and do what he wishes to have and do. Everything is for the asking. Control his thoughts. So what we are asking for is our 3 big words. And if those are the words we're speaking over our life and claiming in consciousness, by law they must manifest in our life. But here's how we muck it up. That was an M. Here's how we mess it up. We mess it up because we start speaking and thinking of the opposite of our words. We start complaining about the parts of our lives where our word is not showing up. And guess what? What we think about and speak about, we bring about. And so we get caught up in complaining about the very thing we don't want. And we forget that our words are creative. I must train myself with discipline to return my thoughts to all the other moments in my life where I do experience my 3 words. The overall atmosphere of my life reflects where I spend the majority of my thought and speaking time. Let me say that again. The atmosphere of my life reflects where I spend the majority of my thinking and speaking time. I focus on what I want more of. What are you praying for today? And on page 42, Holmes says, great things are done by people who think great thoughts and then go out into the world to make their dreams come true. So another step is to think great thoughts. So once you have your 3 words kind of anchored in, begin to think great thoughts about what your life would look like if your 3 words described it. What would it look like? In other words, you've got to get a vision for your life. You've got to get a vision. So back in January of 2010, I was in a class. I'm always in a class. And my instructor asked us this very question. What is the vision for your ideal future life? What is your vision? And she led us in this meditation where we did this visualization of our ideal future life. Now, I can't know for certain, because it was 7.5 years ago, I can't know if I had my 3 big words in my mind, but when I look at the notes from that visioning meditation, I think I must have been thinking about them. Because here are some of the notes from it. My ideal life contains, and I'm not reading it verbatim, just little thoughts, a healthy and happy, peaceful and supportive relationship, fun, a successful daughter, doing spiritual work, having friends move through my home, laughing and sharing life with me, beauty inside and out, and a house near the beach. Now, to be honest, I completely forgot about this visioning. Completely forgot it. Actually, how I found it for this talk was, and I wasn't looking for it, I just searched. My long journal is in my computer. I just searched for a word that brought this up and brought it to my attention. And so I had forgotten about it, and as I said, it was more than 7 years ago, and I've been busy. However, when I look at my life over the past 7 years, I can see that part of what I have been doing has been aligned with that vision in my life. I can notice that I took steps towards that particular vision. First of all, I became a minister, which is really helpful if you want to do spiritual work, right? Okay, so I became a minister. That was important, and it took me about 7 years. And then I continued to raise my daughter towards that successful vision that I had for her, and she is growing every day into her successful life. My relationship remains happy and supportive and fun, which we work on, don't we? And I invest in friendships. Those are important to me, so I spend my time with there. But what about that little piece about the house near the beach? What about that? Chad actually made a joke and said after first service, he said, with your consciousness, you could have just moved the beach here, right? Funny. Actually, with climate change, who knows? Okay, so this is a lifelong desire that I have been carrying. So some of you have heard, and some of you may not have heard, but I'm working on that piece. Becky and I will be moving this summer to Florida to be near the beach. Yes. So, yeah, so be careful what you ask for, right? So with all the changes happening here at SLCA, and with Becky retiring in this month, and with Kelsey, my daughter, successfully moving to Seattle to do her own life out there, I'm like, if not now, when? If not now, when? This has been a lifelong dream of mine. Since I stepped onto Pensacola Beach when I was 7, I said, the beach is my place. This is where I resonate. This is what I love. So why not, if not now, when? Now your question might have been the same as mine. What about my ministry? So here's what I know. I know that while I absolutely adore this spiritual community, and I've loved serving here for however many years, I've been here forever, but I know that my work will find me wherever I go. So I'll keep you posted on that. So all of that sounds really easy, right? I took all the steps. I named my 3 words. I visioned on exactly what I wanted, and poof, it appears on my path, right? But let me tell you a little bit more about the process of attracting your good. It is true. I planted that seed in the law. I created the mold and all of that. I didn't dig it up. I didn't keep checking on it. But I had to keep making choices aligned with that vision, with that idea. And that's the hard part. Because here's the deal. I'm like everyone else. I have lots of things that I love in my life. I have lots of things that I want in my life. I love Atlanta. I love this spiritual community. I love my routine and my routines and my friends. I love stability. I love knowing what my life's going to look like from day to day. If you've ever been there, you know I love my home. I love all that stuff. My life here is actually absolutely good. It's great. So when I kind of rounded the corner, so to speak, and here comes this little possibility of going to the beach, coming poking its little head up out of the ground, I'm like, wait a minute. In order to have that possibility, this dream that I've had since age 7, I would need to choose it again and again and again. Here's the ticket. I would have to allow my life to change. And all the other details involved will require a lot of work and effort. But I would have to choose to say goodbye to some things that I love in order to have something else that I love. And this choosing and re-choosing is often what stops us from manifesting the good that we've named. See, we might think that our prayers haven't been answered because we never get to the beach in our life. Because when the time comes to actually go, we're frozen in indecision. We think our prayers aren't answered because God doesn't just pick us up and poof and plop us down on a beach somewhere. We think that this doesn't work. But we must work with the law in order to manifest our good. We must bring to our vision a series of choices that keep moving us in the direction of our dreams. See, we're given free will. As human beings, we're given free will. And I think it should be called free willy-nilly, because our free will takes us to this, to that, to this, to that, to this, and to another thing. And we come to crossroads and we keep choosing the familiar. And it stagnates us in our life, in the routine of our life. If we wish to truly manifest something new, we must choose something new that is in alignment with our intention. So let's get back to the 3 words, the 3 big words. Here's where consciousness and faith comes into the practice. See, once you've envisioned your ideal life and you come to one of these great big choices, all the fear of the unknown comes flooding in. All of it comes flooding in, especially when you lay awake at night, right? So right now I'm laying awake at night and this is what it sounds like. You don't know a soul down there in Florida. What if you don't like it there? What if it's too hot? What if the beach is a good vacation but not where you really want to live? What if? And so without consciousness and faith, these questions stop us. Stop us. And here's the answer. The answer is that I absolutely trust Spirit, that I'm walking into an experience that will deeply reflect the words I have spoken over my life. Freedom, fulfillment, and abundance. And the details will fall into place to fully support the good that I've claimed in my life. I will find that my life will continue to reflect these qualities wherever I go and whatever I end up doing. I will attract freedom. I will be fulfilled, and life will support abundance. Becky's counting on that. So name your 3 big words. Name them. Name them. Choose them with discipline over and over again. Be bold in your choosing. Here's the thing. Find someone else to help hold your words in consciousness with you. And know with great conviction that Spirit delights in co-creating your life with you. It's the law. And so it is.
Hi, I'm David Ault, and I simply want to say thanks. Thanks for taking the time to watch our broadcast here at Spiritual Living Center of Atlanta. We have a vision, and that vision is to reawaken all to their spiritual magnificence. And one of the ways that we are able to do that is through this very medium of broadcasting. So if you got anything out of this, if you felt in any way inspired, or if something spoke to you directly, then I extend an invitation to you to become a part of our family by donating. And there are many ways in order for you to be able to do that. One is to simply go to our website at slca.com, and there you will find all different kinds of prompts that will help you support what it is that we are doing here in Atlanta. One way is to become a pledger. That means that you decide on a monthly basis that you are going to help us with this vision. Another way is to donate through our management system called Fellowship One, another through PayPal, and another even easier way is on your cell phone. You can do what's called text to tithe, and that number is 404-796-7030. Again, thank you so much for your support, and I invite you to come back weekly to see what it is that we're up to. Blessings.